Hi, it's Miss Susan, and I am here with a couple little gnome finger puppets that I am going to show you how to make today. What all you need is a little bit of wool. I always use like the natural colored wool for the inside, and then I have this colored wool, and this wool actually was donated to River Song, and it came very dirty, and we picked out all the wool, or all of the hay and straw and everything, and we washed it a couple times, and we carded it, and we took some and we dyed it with Kool-Aid. This is grape and lime. And yeah, and we're going to use it to make finger puppets. So you need a little bit of wool. This is enough to make at least a couple. Some soap. I'm using this, but you can use dish soap, or you can use hand soap. You can use a bar of soap if you want to. And it's always good to have a towel handy when you're wet felting. I also have a little bowl of water, which you will see in a minute. And if you happen to have a felting needle, you can use that to fix things if you want. Like this little guy, when I started, this was the bottom part of him, but I went too fast and it didn't get felted on, so I just pulled it off and added a little more of the purple around the bottom. But you don't have to do that. They can just come out as they are. So let's get started. Oh, did I show you I'm going to turn my camera down so you can see my finger better. And where's my water? There's my water. So you're going to start by making a little cap for your finger. And like, this is too thin. You don't really want to be able to see the tip of your finger through it. So I'm going to just fold it over. This one has quite a bit of straw in it. And I'm going to make a little cap like that, and I'm going to take this bottom part and wrap it, and if you can do this, it's really, if you kind of tease out these little ends of the wool, see, I'm pulling them out, and then they'll just kind of stick to the wool beneath, and then you don't have like loose ends. So I want this to go down about to my knuckle, so I'm going to take a little bit more of the wool, fluff it out a little bit if you need to, and then I'm going to just wrap it around my finger below where the overlapping, but below there. So that's a little thin there. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more so you can kind of see my finger through there. So I'm going to wrap this around, and again I'm holding the one end with my finger and my thumb, and I'm going to take these little ends and just kind of let them get stuck to the wool below. If you can do that, you'll have a lot less ends sticking out. It's kind of nice. If you can't, then you'll have ends sticking out, which you can either cut off later or just leave if you like. So now I'm going to take some of the colored wool. You don't need a real lot of it. I just wanted to have like a thin layer over the natural colored wool. And I'm holding it with my thumb, and I'm just wrapping it around. And wrapping it around. There you go. And I'm doing that thing with the ends again. Took me a little bit of practice. I've been playing with wool for a long time now, so but you can do it. And then I'm going to use the purple wool for the hat on this guy. So I'm doing the same thing. I've got the little bit of purple wool, and I'm holding the end between my thumb and my finger. Oh, and I forgot to mention, So I'm wrapping on my left hand. I am right-handed because my right hand is going to be doing most of the work and my left hand is going to be doing most of the holding. So here I'm gonna tuck these ends in a little bit. And that one I'm gonna fluff up and then tuck it in. So, and when I look at it, I can see quite a bit of white through the purple, so I'm going to, I'm almost out of my purple, but I'm gonna add a little bit more purple to it anyway. And I never try to leave a face, but usually a face will show up with the natural colored wool. So now there's my little guy. He comes, it doesn't, we're not going for an exact size, but I always start with them about this big. And I'm going to gently dip him into the water. I'm gonna use my hand and splash a little water. It's like he's taking a nice bath. And you can turn your finger over if it's not wet enough, or use a deeper bowl. This was just easier to show you. And then I'm gonna take the soap. Oh, and okay, here's one more helpful hint. Before you start felting, take your dry wool and move it away. Yes. So I'm putting a little bit of wool, a little bit of soap on there, and I'm gonna just kind of gently press it in. You want to be pretty gentle with the wool at first, because otherwise, like, until it starts to felt, it will just, you can just pull it apart easily and it won't look so nice when you're done. And I'm putting some on the other side, and I'm just kind of squeezing it a little bit. See, there's like, sorry, there we go. You can see about how much wool there is, how much soap there is. And it's nice and wet, and I'm just gonna start squeezing, and it's gonna get a lot smaller as we go along. But the first thing that happens when you start felting is that it gets bigger. I always find this to be very magical. And you wanna just still, so I'm starting to squeeze it a little bit, but you still wanna be pretty gentle, and I'm using my fingers to kind of point, make the hat pointy here. This is still, you can see there's still quite a bit of the wool sticking up there. I can pull it up easily with my finger, so it's not felted yet. But if it's starting to get a little slippery on my hand, so that I'm gonna just get a little bit of the soap off, and I'm gonna squeeze. And I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna not go too fast, because it doesn't take that long. But if you go too fast, you might lose part of it like I did. Slow and gentle at the beginning is the key, and as you'll see, we'll get a little rougher as we go along. So I'm gonna check. No, it's still pretty loose, but I'm gonna start now. I'm holding it. I'm kind of supporting it with my fingers back here, my soapy fingers. I'm gonna start rubbing it like in gentle circles now. Turn it over, and I'm still kind of supporting it, and I'm pulling out this end a little bit and rolling it between my fingers so my gnome has a nice pointy hat. And yep, I'm gonna just keep doing this for a bit longer. can see how, remember he was like about this big at the start, and look at how long he is now. But he's getting more. See, there's less of this fiber that's coming up. So he's getting there. I think it's up here it's less, so I'm gonna concentrate on this end for a bit. His little hat, so his head will stay nice and warm. And I'm rubbing it a little bit harder as it gets firmer. See, already there's, oops, there's less that's coming up. You might be, especially like if you haven't really done this before, you might get little flips and flaps that are loose, and you can just cut those off at the end if you want, or you can use like a little, if you have a felting needle, you can use like a little bit of unfelted wool as glue and needle felt the flaps onto the other part, onto the regular part. So I am feeling like this guy is getting felted pretty well, but not done yet, because when he's done, he will be a lot smaller. So now, let me rinse my hand off. There's a lot less of the fiber coming off here. There's still some, but there's a lot less. It's starting to feel more like felt and less like wool fleece. So I'm taking him off my finger. I'm gonna rinse my hands off a little in the soapy water, and I'm gonna start rubbing him between my hands. And so he's getting more pressure here now. And it shouldn't felt closed at this point, but I always like to just refine that, makes me feel better to refine that finger hole. And just gonna rub him and squeeze him. And he's starting to shrink up again a little bit. See, he's not quite as long as he was a minute ago. Oh, he's on my other hand now, that tricky little gnome. Yeah, you can of course switch hands. So now I'm rubbing it with I'm doing the felting with my left hand, and he's on my right finger, my finger on my right hand. So, see, I got a little bit of a flippy flap there, but I never let such things bother me. And you might get holes too, and that's okay. It's part of the learning process. All right, so now he's getting to be close to done. So I'm gonna take this guy now, and I'm gonna smush him in my hand. Oh, I'm gonna rinse him off a little. I'm rolling him into a little ball. But don't worry, he'll be okay. So you still want some soap, but you want less soap at this point. There he is. Don't worry, he's gonna be all right. Yeah. All right, so let's unroll him. Oh, look, he's getting small. There's his little finger opening, so you can go in your finger. Oh, and look, he's got a little face now too. So he's just about done. I am gonna just rinse him off a little and roll him one more time. Just because it's fun. And whoop. There he is. He's all done. The only other thing, let me wipe off my wet hands so I can, Here I am. There we are. So the last thing to do is just to rinse off all the soap and let it dry. And if you want to, if you want to add some, oh, he's got a little tiny face right there. If you want to add some eyes and a beard, you can do that with a felting needle. That's what I did for these guys, as I showed you. These are like just the tiniest little bits of wool and a little bit of white wool, and I felted them with my felting needle. You could also add eyes and a mouth with a bit of embroidery floss, or you could use even a Sharpie, or you can just, I mean, I think he's fine just the way he is. So it's up to you. I hope you have fun with this. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.